Well, Paul, a magnificent win for your side today.
It is obviously circumstances attached to that, but you've got to still win the game, and it was tough going early on. They showed exactly what they are, a very good side and top of the league. Scored a really good goal from their point of view. Just watched it back there. Sending off is clearly a big turning point. I wanted to get the players in at half time. I guess that the temptation in truth would have been to have changed at half time. The sending off just changed that a little bit. Gave some of the players the opportunity to go back out there that might not have done.
Do you think it was a sending off?
Just seeing it back, I can see why it's been given, but to be kind of fair and honest about it, I can see why he's gone for it. I don't think he's gone in with any malice or anything like that. I think he's kind of a fraction of a second away from toe poking it past Mishi, and then Mishi probably clatters him. It's one of them awkward ones. I just think, rightly or wrongly, and I think wrongly, but the way that the game is played now, you have to be so careful, and it's one that, like I say, I can see why the referee's given it, albeit whether I totally agree with that, but that's just the way that football seems to have gone.
You didn't change it around in terms of personnel at half time, but you seem to move the ball much more quickly in the second half.
I'm going to be truthful. I'm not saying anything that I haven't said to the players. I thought looked like they let nerves get the better of them. That wasn't us. I didn't think. As I said in the lead into the game, I think when we've played good teams, we've had good crowds, the lads have put in decent performances. That first half, I was watching experienced players, good players that have performed well during this season. Give the ball away. They're very good at what they do and they press you. But even when we had time, it was a frustrating watch. I was going to change shape, as I said, but then sending off changed that thought, and suddenly second half, a bit more belief. I wasn't convinced at half time looking in the faces, but credit to them, they got on the ball, and again obviously the sending off changes it, but we did get on top of the game. That's not always the case, and looked a threat relatively quickly, certainly for myself. Had a change and brought Jordan on with just two out and out wingers, tried stretching the width of the pitch, and it seemed to work.
Did the fact they changed the shape at half time help you a little bit?
No, Dave, I can, hindsight's easy, but it didn't seem to do us any harm. That's what I would say. But whether they could have continued in that vein that they were, we'll never know. I'm sure he expected us to either change or certainly play better in that second period.
You mentioned some of your players weren't having great games, and but they didn't hide, they didn't give up, and then maybe two of them who were below par a little bit today prop up with goals for you. And what a great goal the first one was.
They're both good goals, to be honest, and I said that so was theirs. I think in terms of for different reasons. For ours, the first one, it was a great bit of movement from John, a lovely ball from Jordan, who come onto the pitch, and Ryan linking play as he does, and a lot of composure. So when he cut back inside, you wonder if that opportunity's gone. Thankfully it hadn't. That, I think the crowd were with us anyway, but that gets the crowd even noisier and louder, and they try to ride that out. But I said I could see us scoring another one from a set play. That back post area we kind of looked at a little bit. Luke said it in. Just said to Gav walking off, he shouldn't really be in there, to be honest, but that's why he scores goals. Whether you coach or does certain things, you have to sometimes play what's in front of you, and maybe with the sending off that encouraged him to take that step forward. And even then, I have to say, in general it'll look an easy finish. It was a very good finish, controlled on his weaker side, that he could have quite easily, not as hit a sweet or put it over the bar. So delighted, that's another goal for him. Not quite as spectacular as the one at Chesterfield, but certainly probably more important.
Sean Scannell coming in from the start, and he did well for you today.
Yep, it was a big call, or a tough call, with leaving Jordan. Just felt discipline-wise and positionally, he just Scans had the edge on that, so I went with him. And it was tough, it was tough to get him in the game, but maybe one or two bits that we did have first half, he seemed to be involved in. And he saw the game out well, had a great run towards the end of the game. He'll be pleased with his afternoon's work.
A few players going down with cramp towards the end. Anything serious that you're aware of?
No. Obviously Misha's first game back. I think maybe one or two others doing what lots of teams have done to us. Maybe not quite as bad as it appears. I certainly hope that's the case. My thoughts are already very much on to Kings Lynn. Not thoughts as in I can tell you what team I'm going to pick, but certainly in terms of, just said there, we had a fantastic result at Chesterfield. The point away at Weymouth wasn't the worst, his performance wasn't the worst, but we obviously went there in hopes of getting the 3 points. Monday will be no different. Can we try and back that up? You know, a result's gone for us today in terms of the chasing pack, probably 3 others haven't. And you know, I look at some of their fixtures, we need to continue to be putting the points on the board. We've got one of the teams coming here next weekend who are on a extremely good run, but first and foremost, Kings Lynn.
And I suppose looking at Kings Lynn, your difficult job is deciding which of those players can go again and which can't.
Yeah, as I said, again in the lead up to this game, it's a little bit kinder, but at the same time the stage of the season we're at, a warmish day, pitches are hardening up. I think one or two did look a little bit tired, which is understandable. I expect them to be that as well. Should always be tired when you come off the football pitch. How quickly some of them can recover. As we speak now, you can see some of the lads that haven't been involved and the ones that maybe come on a sub-training. So that's all in preparation for the game. We'll be off tomorrow in Sunday and then travel to Kings Lynn with another fantastic following. Let's hope that we can get the result we want and have another good away day and another day and step closer to where we want to be.